be here with you. Thank you.
Thank you for being here.
I'm so honored.
You are so right about the epidemic of insecurity. And so where does it come from?
You know, I really believe that it began even 50 years ago when the television screen hit the home. Before that time, of course, the invention was there, but it had not gone into every single den in America. But I think it began with so many images up in front of us that we began as women to do something very different than our great-grandmothers. We had what might have been hundreds of women to compare ourselves to. And I'm thinking in terms of women, but of course men have insecurities as well.
Yeah, but a little bit different. Sometimes men's insecurities are connected to their performance.
That's exactly
right. And women is connected to our looks. You look at magazine covers and the whole bit, and it's funny because we've had various supermodels on the show before, and they said, trust me, they airbrush us too. We wish we looked like some of those things on the cover.
But yet we're taking it as our reality. So we see that, and we don't remind ourselves with all those images that those are not real. We really do take it on and think, you know, I'm just pathetic. Yeah. I'm pathetic. I'll never measure up to that. And it causes us so much dissatisfaction in our personal lives.
Also chasing perfect.
Yes.
And really, what is perfect? None of us will ever really get there.
No, you're right. And I've become convinced that perfectionism is insecurity in its art form. That when we really do need everything to match from head to toe, that really says more about our insecurity than it does how together we are. I'm really convinced of it.
So I have to tell you right now, I've got the brown ring, brown, matching head to toe.
As do
I. And the undergarments are brown as well.
Yes, yes. Mine matches well.
You got orange ones on, do you?
At least a tone.
Yeah. All right, so, okay. There are tools that we can use to kind of break free of, in a sense, which could be a form of bondage. And to break free of that. And what are some of the tools that you recommend that women in particular do?
We've got to get in our heads that our dignity comes within, that God gave us dignity, that it's such a trap to get into this belief system that we will never measure up. And to begin, even in that moment when we're in a situation, one thing we do, Deborah, that's just a classic, especially with women, is that we'll never let an emotion or reaction be alone. We always piggyback it with insecurity. Say, for instance, I hurt your feelings today, or you hurt mine. Instead of just having hurt feelings all by itself, we'll decide then that we are insecure, that it means that I don't have any security. It means that I am not as valuable of a person.
A problem.
So perhaps we'll get embarrassed, and instead of just being embarrassed, we're also insecure. Perhaps we'll get our heart broken or have some kind of rejection, and instead of just being rejected, which is big enough by itself, we've got to also be insecure with it. We could begin to say, and what I just want to propose, we talk to ourselves all the time. It's just what we're going to say. We speak our own belief system over and over in our minds. What if when we were in an encounter that we knew had the potential to really get us, we began to think just silently and in our own minds, we began to think, you know what, you may have that, but you may not have my security. God gave it to me, it's mine to keep. And you're just thinking to yourself, even in that encounter, with that job loss, what may happen in our present economy is that someone may lose their job, but they add, instead of just the loss itself, which is big enough alone, they decide then to give up their security. Well, that becomes a vicious cycle.
We can't just take it as there was a layoff. Instead, it was, why did they lay me off?
It's about my value. So now I'm going to value myself less than the person God made me to be.
And you mentioned relationships and heartbroken. If a man, for example, leaves for another woman, the first thing we do is we want to see that other woman. Where is she?
Exactly.
Where is she? And we compare ourselves to her, as opposed to saying, well, maybe he wasn't good enough for me.
It's all about that we have to subject our value onto it.
By the way, is how I came to my husband I have now, who's the sweetest thing in the world. You know, I had a breakup before that, and I thought, you know, it must be me. And you know what? No, it was a higher being looking out for me.
You bet it was.
You know,
you bet it was. You know, I've done that with my husband. My husband and I have been married for 31 years. But I continued when I really found myself in this trap, and I'm sure it just came with the season of life that I'm in, where I just began to look at him and think, am I still okay? Am I still okay? And here I am looking to a man for my value in womanhood. I'm going to look to him to figure out how I can be a woman. And you just wake up one day and go, you know what? No, I cannot put another human being in charge of my soul's security.
But the thing is, that whole comparison thing again, and when you're in a public forum like something like this, like you speak in front of large groups, you know, being on TV, the whole bit, you got to let go of that stuff so that you can do what it is that you've been anointed to do.
You know, I love that you were mentioning just being in, when you do get some maturity on you, and that's how I love to think about it, just some maturity on you. I would never have written this book 10 years ago because I wouldn't have wanted people to know that I'd struggled with insecurity.
Right.
I love that about being a little bit older where you can just go, look, I'm telling you, I got the same problem you got. Let's get over it. There's got to be a way to get over it. And I do want to make sure that people understand that it begins in childhood, in the culture that we live in. It's our little girls all the way to women just about to kiss this sod goodbye.
Yeah,
it's a
that's
tremendous
right.
problem.
So no longer about bondage, but about bonding.
That's right.
All right.
That's right. That's good.
Yeah, you can use that. Thank you very much. All right, you can meet Beth at her book signing tomorrow at Mardell Store in Houston. It is from 9:30 a.m. to 11 a.m. And later that day, she'll be at Sam's Club in Shenandoah from 1 to 2 p.m. Really neat lady. To learn more about Beth and the book, visit